In this activity, we're going to be looking at the different constraints that are available within Fusion and kind of in all parametric history-based 3D modeling programs. We're going to see how they work within themselves without having any other kind of shapes we want to have right now, because having a good understanding of how the constraints work and how they behave with each other and with lines and arcs and different pieces of geometry is really the foundation to plan out good models that you can change. Just you can change the value of a dimension, have it move the way that you want it to move. So as we get started, we're going to create a sketch, and for these exercises, I'm just going to tell you to use either the front plane, which is kind of the plane that's aligned with the front, the top plane, which is the plane that's aligned with the top, or the right plane, which is this plane. And yes, that could be the right or the left, depending on which way you're facing it. So if I face it, if I turn it the other way, then it's the left plane. If I do it that way, it's the right plane. So I'll just be telling you to start on one of these three planes, either the right, the front, or the top. Just to kind of, so we have a frame of reference where kind of what you're drawing matches what I'm drawing. Then when we get in there, we have our constraints here. And so we have horizontal, vertical, coincident, tangent, equals, parallel, perpendicular, midpoint, and collinear. And these are the main ones we're going to talk about in this activity. We'll talk about concentric a little bit later, but it's not really used as much. I never use symmetry because it's easier just to model half of it and then use the mirror feature later on than to have using the symmetry here, because that kind of breaks all of my rules about keeping sketches simple. Curvature is only used, and we'll talk about that way later on. And fix is only used if you're bringing in geometry or if you want to have stuff just kind of out in space. Like if we're doing problem solving things or something, you just want to lock something down, but that's not really a good way to do things. And so we usually want things to start from the origin. And personally, I like things to be centered on the origin. So fix is one that I never use. And so we'll talk about that and some other examples later on. But for the most part, don't use fix, don't use symmetry, don't use curvature. Just, they don't matter for right now. So when we're drawing, if we pick a line, you can see if I just go somewhere and click and drag, I can just keep clicking. Sure, I'm not dragging, but I'm just clicking. I can make points, hit escape to unselect. If I just click on one thing, I can select it and delete. If I double click, I can select the entire length of that object and hit delete. Same thing, rectangle, click, click to get my 2 points. I can also, within a rectangle, there's my sketch palette over here. I also have a 3-point rectangle that we'll use. So now instead of just drawing straight, I can just click here. Now I can come out perpendicular to it. So I can create kind of, I can define whatever edge that is and then go out from it. Or I can do a center point rectangle. And this is one I really like when I'm modeling, but we're not going to use it in this exercise today. Control Z, like I just did a bunch, is undo, or you can hit undo up here. And then I can draw circles, just finding the center point and coming out. You can see also here there's some other options. We'll talk more about these when we get to those. So to get out of the sketch, I can either hit finish sketch here or finish sketch here. And then it'll give me a list of sketches here. And I can just hit the little eyeball here and turn those sketches off when I don't want to see them again. And I can double click on the sketch to reactivate it to work with that one again. So, all right, go ahead and work through this, the different things on this activity, and then go ahead and do the reflection at the end. But while you're doing it, try and think about what it is that you're doing and how the things are working with each other. So we can find if you go over a point, like here, the center point here, I can click and drag the side of them around. I can also go to the outside of the circle, click and drag to make that bigger. If I have a line, I can click on the line and drag the line, or I can click on the endpoint and drag the endpoints. So now I'm pressing and holding the mouse as I'm doing that. So keep that in mind as you're doing the different things in this activity. So really get a feel of what's going on with the different constraints. All right, thank you.